That day started just like any other quiet weekend. The house was peaceful, and I thought I had it all to myself. With the sun streaming through the windows and a gentle breeze coming in, I decided to spend the morning cleaning. The floors needed sweeping, the furniture needed dusting, and the kitchen was waiting for a good scrub. Mom was out running errands, and Jay, my stepbrother, had told her he'd be hanging out with his friends all day. "I won't be back until late," he had said with his usual casual tone, so I didn't expect him home anytime soon. Knowing I wouldn't have to deal with anyone getting in my way, I put on my favorite playlist, tied my hair back, and got to work. As I cleaned, the house felt different, calmer, quieter, almost like it was just mine. I hummed along to the music, enjoying the stillness. It felt good to be alone, without anyone around to make a mess or distract me. I had plans to finish cleaning, grab a snack, and maybe relax with a book later. Everything seemed so perfectly ordinary. Or so I thought. While sweeping the living room floor, I caught a faint sound, like the front door creaking open. I froze for a moment, unsure if I'd imagined it. The music was still playing softly in the background, but now my ears were tuned to every noise. "Mom," I called out, expecting no answer since she wasn't due back for hours. The next sound was unmistakable: footsteps. My heart skipped. Before I could even process what was happening, Jay walked in, his face calm as if he hadn't just surprised me out of nowhere. "Hey," he said casually, dropping his bag on the couch like it was the most normal thing in the world. I stared at him, confused. "What are you doing here? I thought you were out with your friends." Jay shrugged, a small smirk tugging at his lips. Plans changed. The peaceful morning I had planned suddenly felt different, like the quiet balance of the house had shifted with his unexpected return. And though I didn't know it yet, this was only the beginning. I was busy sweeping the living room floor, focused on getting every last speck of dust, when a sudden noise made me jump. It was the front door creaking open, loud enough to startle me out of my thoughts. For a split second, my heart raced. Mom wasn't supposed to be back for hours, and Jay had said he wouldn't be home until later. So who could it be? I froze mid-sweep, gripping the broom tightly. Then, I saw him. Jay strolled into the room like it was no big deal, his usual casual smile plastered on his face. He looked so at ease, as if his early return was nothing out of the ordinary. But to me, it was anything but ordinary. "You're home?" I asked, my voice breaking the silence as I stood there, wiping the sweat from my brow. Cleaning had been hard work, and now, on top of being tired, I was confused. Jay shrugged like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Yeah, plans changed," he said simply, tossing his bag onto the couch without a care. I blinked at him, trying to understand. He wasn't supposed to be here. He had told Mom he'd be out all day with his friends. Why was he back so early? And why didn't he look the least bit bothered by my surprise? "Plans changed," I repeated, my tone more curious than annoyed. Something about his unexpected return unsettled me, though I couldn't quite figure out why. He just smiled and plopped down on the couch, watching me with that same relaxed expression. As I stood there holding the broom, unsure of what to say, the air between us felt different. I had no idea what was going on in Jay's mind, but something told me this wasn't just a casual visit home. Jay shrugged, his movements slow and deliberate, before making his way over to the couch. He sunk into it with a lazy ease, as if he had all the time in the world. I expected him to pull out his phone or flip on the TV like he usually did, but instead, he just sat there, watching me. At first, I tried to ignore him and focus on my work. The broom moved across the floor in steady strokes, and I told myself his presence didn't bother me. But the longer his gaze lingered, the more I felt it. It wasn't like before, when we'd joke around, tease each other, or have the usual sibling banter. No, this felt different. I could feel his eyes on me, following every movement I made. It was strange, almost like the air in the room had shifted. I stole a quick glance at him, hoping he'd look away, but he didn't. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, as though studying me, a small smirk tugging at his lips. "Need help?" he finally asked, breaking the silence. His voice had a playful edge to it, the kind that usually came with some teasing remark or a joke. But this time, it felt heavier, like there was more behind his words. I paused, gripping the broom a little tighter. "I've got it," I replied quickly, shaking my head. My voice came out steadier than I felt, and I hoped he couldn't see the slight flush creeping into my cheeks. Jay didn't push further. He just leaned back, draping an arm across the back of the couch, still watching me like he had all the patience in the world. My hands went back to sweeping, but my thoughts were scattered. Why was he acting so different? And why did it feel like this moment was leading to something I wasn't prepared for? I kept cleaning, trying to ignore the way Jay's eyes followed me. It wasn't like him to just sit and watch. Usually, he'd either help out or head to his room. Today was different, and I felt uneasy. Out of nowhere, Jay's voice broke the silence. "Do you ever think about us?" he asked, his tone quiet but deliberate. The question caught me completely off guard. I froze mid-sweep, gripping the broom tightly as his words hung in the air. For a moment, I wasn't sure I'd heard him correctly. Slowly, I turned to face him, confusion written all over my face. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice uncertain. I searched his expression for some kind of clue, but he didn't look away. His gaze was steady, his face calm, but there was something in his eyes I couldn't quite figure out. Jay shrugged, leaning forward slightly, his elbows resting on his knees. "I mean, do you ever think about how different things might be if we weren't, step-siblings?" he said, his voice softer now, almost hesitant. I blinked at him, trying to process his words. "I don't understand," I said slowly, shaking my head as if that would make his question make more sense. "Why would I think about that?" He gave a small, almost nervous laugh, but there was no humor in it. "I don't know," he said, running a hand through his hair. "It's just something I've been wondering about." The room felt suddenly smaller, the air heavier. I stood there, holding the broom, unsure of what to say. Jay's question wasn't just strange, it felt like it was opening a door to something I wasn't sure I wanted to walk through. "Jay, I started, but the words got stuck in my throat. Whatever he meant, whatever he was trying to say, I wasn't ready for it. I didn't even know how to respond. All I knew was that the easy, casual atmosphere between us had shifted into something I didn't recognize. And I didn't know where it was going next. Jay leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "You're always so focused on everything, school, work, cleaning the house. Do you ever stop to think about what you want?" His words made me nervous. I didn't know what he was getting at, and it felt strange. "Jay, what are you trying to say?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Jay stood up slowly, his movements deliberate, and walked over to where I was standing. His face wasn't playful or teasing like usual, it was serious, almost intense. My hands tightened